Hello, this is Paul Chek doing Q&A for all of you. I hope you enjoy these Q&As. This is from Matt Barton, 0007. Wow, James Bond. He asks, how does improper foot arch posture affect the hips alignment and psoas muscle, and how to remedy that? Well, the last one's a comprehensive question. How does foot posture affect lower limb alignment and psoas muscle recruitment? Well, first of all, arches of your feet are flat. It brings your knees together. That's called a pronation pattern. A general rule of thumb to remember is pronation in the body equals deceleration. Supination equals acceleration. So if you watch what your feet do when you jump, you'll see the arches get bigger because the feet have to tighten to allow the calf muscles and the foot muscles to act on the ground. If your arch didn't go up, then your foot would not be stable. You wouldn't have a stable platform to jump on. The psoas muscle is an external rotator of the hip. So if the psoas muscle gets weak for any reason, it is part of a pronation pattern that results in flat feet, which is, the arches fall down. Pronation patterns like that can come from a lot of things. If you look at my videos on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Paul CHEK Live, and search the CHEK totem pole, I explain the system of the hierarchy of control systems and show all the things that can lead ultimately to pronated feet, which is the slave joints at the bottom of the totem pole. Too much to explain in a few minutes here. The number one cause, though, of a loss of the normal arch in the feet is a core that is not working. So if you take the arms and legs off the body, that's what you have left is called the core. Your pelvic girdle, your abdominal wall, your abdominal contents, your paraspinal muscles, your neck, head, and jaw. That's the core, including all the eyes and cranial nerves. They're all part of the core. If your guts are inflamed for any reason, which is always diet and lifestyle factors, fungal infections, parasite infections, it could be heavy metal poisoning. One of the most common things is leaky gut syndrome. I go into pretty much most anything you need to know at a basic level here in my book, How to Eat, Move, and Be Healthy. Show you how to assess your body with the questionnaires in here, put the scores on the graph, and it tells you which chapters to study, which guides you to the right stretches, joint mobilizations, corrective exercises, tests you can do on yourself, dietary changes, lifestyle changes, etc. Because the shoulder girdle's on the rib cage, it stabilizes the shoulder. So if the core is not stable, you cannot have stable hip, knee, ankle, foot, nor can you have stable shoulder, elbow, wrist, and hand. It'll lead to problems in the extremities all day long. One of the things that happens if the core is not stable is the pelvis can tip forward, which causes medial rotation of the knees and flattens the arches out. One of the things too is that if the atlas is not in place, that's the top cervical vertebra. Think of an airplane. If your atlas turns right, your whole body sets itself up to turn right, so your weight shifts to your right leg, and that can over time lead to excess stress on the arch of one foot and lead to problems that way. So whenever I see an asymmetrical arch, one of the first things I'm thinking is their atlas in the right position? Do they have normal occlusion? And are their eyes functioning? Is their vestibular system functioning? And do they have hearing loss in one ear? Because all those can lead to a bilateral loss of the arch or unilateral loss of the arch, depending on which type of symptoms you have or dysfunction you have. The other thing is the psoas muscles are linked into the kidney channel, and they can be affected by the kidney. There's other organs that can affect them as well, but they are innervated at T12L1. So any of the glands and organs that share that nerve pathway will reflexively alter the tone of the psoas muscles. And if you have inflammation in any of the organs inside the belly, you get a reflex response called visceromotor inhibition, which shuts down the abdominal wall, because whenever an organ is inflamed, it swells, and if you don't make more room for it, it will cut the blood supply off because it'll be under too much pressure, and even small reductions in blood flow means reduction in oxygen delivery, nutrient delivery, waste removal, which would delay the rate at which the organ can heal, which significantly decreases your chances of survival. So the musculoskeletal system is essentially a slave to the organ system because of that. So this is why I for years traveled around the world giving a lecture called Flatten Your Abs Forever, which had nothing to do with exercise and everything to do that stopped the abdominals from responding properly to exercise. And one of the worst things you can do is a bunch of abdominal sit-ups and crunches and kind of standard abdominal exercises when you have an inflamed gland organ or in anything in the core, because it keeps compressing them and it keeps the abdominals too tight. And when you do too much abdominal work like that, it tightens the abdominals so much it disrupts the breathing pattern, which then disrupts pumping in the body, which then just complicates the problem, because now you have circulatory stasis, you have a buildup of toxins in the body. So it's just a chain reaction that goes from pain to hell, essentially. So in a nutshell, when the arches are flattened, somebody's stuck in deceleration, and that means that you almost always have a problem of activation of the supinator muscles, which are the accelerator muscles of the body, and that indicates an imbalance between the pronation and supination system of the body. So corrective exercise and diet and lifestyle modification are almost always inherent to the process of correcting the arches of the feet. Another problem that's very common is people wearing shoes all the time weakens the muscles of the feet, and so the arches are not effectively supported, which is why I wear 5-finger shoes, because they allow individual action of each toe, which keeps the muscles of the feet in good functional working order, which affects the core because the feet are always sensing the ground, and each toe and each small movement of the foot working through the proprioceptive system instructs the brain and the spinal cord as to how to recruit the stabilizers in the muscles of the body to make quick adjustments while you're walking on the ground, like on a trail. So one of the most important things to do is to walk barefoot as often as you can, wherever it's safe and wherever you're not going to be in areas where they sprayed glyphosate and chemicals, like yards and golf courses and any place where they use those chemicals. Around a lot of apartment buildings and condo complexes, they spray that crap everywhere. So you don't want bare feet on toxic soil, or you just poison yourself. There are a number of different types of exercises you can do for the feet, but if you don't identify what's causing the pronation pattern, then working on the feet exercises could be futile, because it's not really helping the problem. It might help your feet, which would be good, but it won't help correct the problem, because you could have, for example, if you're adapting for an atlas problem or a core dysfunction like I've described with organ inflammation, the brain will shut those muscles off to allow that pronation pattern to help tip the pelvis forward and increase space for an expanding swollen organ. So these are the kinds of things we teach in the CHEK Institute Academy training program, and that you learn in our Holistic Lifestyle Coaching program and the CHEK Practitioner program, which is corrective exercise and high performance exercise. So hope that gives you some answers to your question. And I will close by saying, if you do have inhibited psoas muscles, then stretching the psoas muscles just makes it worse, because increases the lack of tone in the psoas, which allows the knees to turn inward and the feet to pronate. So this is why in my book, How to Eat, Move, and Be Healthy, I show you how to do 20 stretch tests to identify exactly which muscles are tight, so you know how to stretch them, and which ones are longer and weaker, so you know what needs to be strengthened so that the body comes back into balance. So I hope that little bit of information is helpful to you. Thank you.